coffee, or a pyali chai, where people can share that with each other. So, yeah, I mean, it is right. If anybody comes to your house, you will offer them a tea or a coffee.
Of course, yeah.
So it is the bedrock, it is the fulcrum around which human interactions can happen. And in 2001, there were no places to hang out, literally, right? I mean, you either had five-star coffee shop where you could go at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or you had UDP restaurants where you could go. And you didn't have as many options as you did today. So we just created a little place which had coffee. We wanted to do a coffee shop where we were actually selling conversation over coffee. Right? And our tagline was coffees and conversations at that point. And it was just a place to hang out and order some coffee, have desserts. And because we kind of modeled ourselves after the Moroccan coffee houses and not the Italian coffee houses, we had a distinctive character, which was mocha. And I think that's what people really liked. I had no idea at that point of time that I would start my journey riding a tiger, right? Which I can't jump off from now, even if I want to. And I thought I would, spend all my life talking to customers about the virtues of coffee, and I would be a single restaurant owner, and that would be it. So now that you mention it, it does give me food for thought and a lot of perspective. That I was happy doing that then, and there's no reason why I can't be happy doing that now. I think I miss the times where you could focus on just one restaurant and just focus on your customers and talk to them on a daily basis instead of talking to bankers and PE funds and government officials. Yeah.
But mocha was quite a rage, Riyaz. I remember it in college, and location was Churchgate, and so fabulous. And your desserts were fabulous. I can't forget that. And it's a full circle because mocha still exists in the SEC B towns and C towns. And then now you've got dope coffee in.
Yeah, we got dope
kind
coffee.
Of full circle. Of course, it's a different concept, but ultimately it is, coffee.
I think that, what's very interesting is that you may call it by whatever name. You may call it mocha, you may call it social, you may call it cafes, you may call it chai ki tapris, college canteens, nukkad ki, chai ki dukaan, or your coffee houses of colonial India. They all serve the same purpose, or even bars, right? At the end of the day, the main offering really is each other. Yes, and so you just create an environment where people can open up and have real, meaningful engagements and conversations with each other. And I think that is really, the focal point. And I think coffee shops will keep evolving and they'll keep changing.
Yeah.
Before Starbucks, there were people used to hang around in McDonald's and drive-ins, and they used to have Archie's. If you look at the Riverdale coffee shop, used to hang around in pop takes. Right? I think that the need to hang out and the need to engage with each other in a common neutral space is really what it is, right? And it could be mocha, it could be social, it could be Smoker's Dairy, or it could be any other brand that will come tomorrow. The important thing is to be social. And I'm not plugging my brand here. I'm just trying to say that is the basic thing. So that keeps evolving as we go along, right? Earlier we used to hang out over burgers and fries, and then we started getting our cappuccinos. And I think now people want to have a beer when they're hanging out. Nothing wrong with that. Well, it keeps evolving, and I think that these social spaces will continue evolving even in the future.
I want to talk about the future at a little later point of time. But I do remember your chocolate avalanche at Mocha. That was like a killer dessert. I mean, But it did.
Hey, thank you, Raja. Thank you, Dope Coffee. You're the biggest champion of Dope Coffee. For sure. Yeah. But I have to say that Dope Coffee is actually an initiative of Riyaz Amlani, who happens to be my brother.
Your brother.
Who also happens to be a very fine chef. He studied in the French Culinary Institute.
FCI,
and he kind of fell in love with coffee, and so I cannot take any credit for Dope. Dope is all him. So
No, I was just wondering because Mocha is suddenly Dope. So
Thanks,
it come a full circle. Hi, Rashmi. So many people online But
No, Mocha never roasted their coffee. Mocha used to import, we used to have 24 different types of coffee beans, not 24 different types of coffee preparations.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe that could have, been an early influence, but what he's taken with a roaster, and he's working with phenomenal Indian brands and being able to roast them to perfection. And honestly, now I find that Indian coffee is way superior to any other coffee around. I think saying Italian coffee, first of all, is a big misnomer, right? Because there is no such thing as Italian coffee. They don't grow a gram of coffee. They import it from everywhere else, and then they roast it, and then they send it back to the world. So I think what Dope has been able to do with Indian coffee is a revelation.
Yeah. Salt water grill.
I'm missing souffle too.
Salt water cap. Huh?
I was just referring to a comment.
To go to souffle as soon as all this is over. Okay.
Me too. Let's go together.
Yeah. Riyaz, you've been ahead of the curve always in the F&B concepts and F&B space, or at least, and you've got a great pulse on the market. So that, is a given. Your, places like, of course, your Slink and Bardo and Ishara and so many other places are, all have been a runaway success. So,
hi, Shreya, Saran. How's it going? We have a star in our midst.
Yeah. Who's there?
Yeah. That's Shreya Saran.
Shreya. Hi, Shreya.
She's in the mix of it all, and she's in Spain when all this is happening. So.
Oh, God. Okay. So, we missed Irshada. Okay. Riyaz, social distancing as the current situation is. Tell us more about your thoughts and the current situation in the F&B space.
I wish I knew, honestly speaking.
Yeah, no one knows, but at least your thoughts.
Look, I think from all the reports that we have been looking at, and from all the expert advice I get on WhatsApp, but I personally think that with all serious medical reports which are being released, we are seeing one clear pattern, which is that the infections will be at the peak. The highest number of infections in the world will be in June, right? So if you can just extrapolate our current situation with where we are today and what we need to do with what we will have to do in June, it'll be very difficult. So, we think it's going to be a long haul, honestly speaking. We have to prepare for it. I think restaurants as we know it will not open up anytime before June. I hope and pray every day that I'm wrong, and that we can solve this problem faster. Yeah. But we have to be mentally prepared that dining out will not be opened up before June. So there will be a lot of pain. There will be a lot of small guys and big guys, because big guys also have their added burden of corporate costs on top of the outage. So there's going to be a lot of pain, and hopefully we'll emerge on the other side July. We will also have more problems then, because people will not have that much money in their pockets. Yeah, the economy will take a battering.
That is.
Yeah, so, and until and unless they don't find a cure or a vaccine, which could be anything from 6 months to a year away, our life is in for a major change. And, everything that we know as normal today will be very different tomorrow, for a while at least.
Yeah. So, Riyaz, the current mantra for the F&B industry is sustenance. And
I think it's survival.
Okay.
It's survival.
Survival.
Do whatever you can to survive.
Any advice to young entrepreneurs, restaurateurs? What can one do? How does one actually survive? It's all black and white, but still. Any things, any tips, any...
But I think that whatever they do, they have to figure out how they're going to pull through for the next 6 or 9 months. Right?
Yeah, survive.
A big part of that is actually figuring out how to conserve cash, or how to raise some cash, because there will be an infusion money that is required. If I think the governments will try and ease liquidity into the market through the banking system. So loans will be available more. I think we should take advantage of that. We should encourage all our employees to take advantage of the 3-month PF scheme which the government has created.
Yes.
Take comfort in the fact that we've acted quickly when we were first movers in the lockdown.
Yes.
And, we just need to kind of make sure that our health is okay, physical health is okay, our mental health is okay for the next time. And like you were saying, work on your other skills and all the things you never had time for. This is a good time to do it.
Yes.
Be mentally happy, be mentally positive, and try and raise money. And, I think there will be a lot of investors who will want to invest in an asset class like a restaurant in the future once the models start making sense. Let them make money, just get some money, survive your business. And once you can survive this stage, this 1 year to 18 months, I think the future is ours.
Yeah, because there's no use discussing what to do when things get okay, because as of now, we talk about survival and that's it. The later we will talk about when we have to talk about, when things are better. So as of now,
I think even when we open up, Samir, I think it's also important that we will have to change a lot of our protocols. We have to be very careful. Hygiene standards have to be uncompromising. We have to pay a lot of attention to things that we took for granted earlier. So we have to make sure that we kind of minimize contact between our staff, because we have to protect our staff. That's number one priority. From any infections that other people could bring in. Right? So we have to maintain protocols. Dining out, as we know it, will change. Perhaps it might look a little bit more like an operation theater, less like a fancy restaurant.
I also think in the kitchen, Riyaz, chefs will look at root to stem and using every part of produce or meat effectively, and to avoid wastage, because those are things which will cut costs internally with the restaurateurs.
Raja's asking any parallels between 2008 and 2020 for the F&B sector. So Raja, I'll quickly take that question. I think it's interesting. I think the restaurant industry in the last 5-6 years has taken a lot of hits. We've been hit with no service charge, to highway liquor ban, to random government action. So thankfully we've had a lot of practice in having our backs against the walls. And restaurants are nothing but resilient and very strong people. And they're doing it for love and passion. I can tell you that nobody, is going to become a billionaire running restaurants. It is a labor of love. It's passion, and I think that this is the exact quality. And we have resilience, and I think these are the exact qualities that are going to see us through. I think only people who will survive any kind of apocalyptic events will be cockroaches and restaurateurs.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. That's true. Riyaz, you have been the president of NRAI, the National Restaurant Association of India, from 2014 to 17. And you are still a very, very active leader in the space, and with NRAI and the NRAI Youth Committee. You all have been doing a fantastic job. I know you all have a campaign called Feed the Needy, where over 8 lakh meals have been served. So tell us more about that, and how can people help and contribute?
So thank you, Samir, for mentioning Feed the Needy. Hey, my mom is there. I want to say hi, Mom.
Hello, Auntie.
Hi, Mom. Nina Amlani, Auntie's Hansak she is the proprietor of the excellent recipe that we serve.
Oh, okay.
And she's an absolutely amazing chef. I mean, my favorite meal in the world is to be her cooking. No matter how many restaurants I go to.
Fantastic. Hi, Auntie.
So, getting back to Feed the Needy, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I think that indeed we as restaurateurs have lots of infrastructure available when it comes to kitchens. And we have boys who are there. And in this time of the need where we are not being able to do anything else, there's a very real need to feed our COVID warriors. There's a medical community. There's the people who work in governments and quasi-government NGOs who are trying to help out with this whole migrant crisis. and who are fighting the virus, and people who've been displaced and lost livelihoods. There's a real need to serve them meals on a daily basis. While we are comfortable in our homes, and thank God, there are a lot of people who are left high and dry or don't have the ability to go home because they're busy fighting the virus. And they have old people at home and they can't get home. So, medical workers, BMC workers, police, as well as people who've been displaced need to have hot meals delivered to them. And we are opening up our kitchens, and with everybody's generous contributions, we are being able to supply over 8 lakh meals, and we are hoping to ramp up our capabilities. And the support that we've seen from people has been overwhelming. So thank you. It is enough. Somebody made a statement saying, "Hey man, at least be more optimistic." I think with all the love and all the support and everything that I'm seeing from the people, I have no reason to be anything but optimistic and deeply grateful. So I think that we have these kitchens, and I think we should do a bit, open them up. We use our boys to prepare these hot meals, and we're using and working with government bodies and trying to reach the food where it is needed the most. So any contribution would be very welcome. It's on our website, nrai.org. Feed the needy. Please donate whatever you can.
Yeah, I mean, even the 10 rupee donation helps. Or
we'd be very, very happy. Yes, even 10 rupees would get one more person a meal.
Yes. So just guys, please log in, donate as much as you can, and it's for a great cause, and you must do that. Riyaz, there was a question that I actually saw, which said, how do you gain back faith of customers to come back to restaurants once the lockdown is lifted, or we just leave it to time?
No, I think the restaurants will have to go out of the way to convince people that it is going to be safe to dine there. Like I said, restaurant protocols will change. Restaurants may end up looking more like hospitals, with people in fully protected pathogen suits, masks, glasses, gloves. People will have to double up their, sanitary wipes. Any places of high contact will need to either be replaced or removed or regularly cleaned. We have to make sure that customers don't come into surface of doors. If you can have automated doors, automated taps in the bathrooms, try and find ways of sterilizing with medical grade equipment the crockery and the cutlery. You can use ultraviolet lights to kind of make sure that it is fully sterilized. Make sure that people can avoid touching things that they don't have to. You have to minimize contact. And we have to think about that today. So when we open up tomorrow, our customers, because I think people will feel the need to be amongst people, to sell. And I think going out to a restaurant is actually celebrating being alive.
It's an experience.
It is just the celebration of being alive, right?
Yes.
And you can all eat at home all you want, but that very special feeling of knowing that you're living the life and you're actually out and about and you're participating with your people around you. That is the essence of a restaurant. And I think that is the very spirit of humanity, a restaurant. It is the spirit of man being a social, humans being a social animal. It is so important, and I think it will come back. And I think that we will need to find a way between the time that the lockdown is lifted to the time that the cure is found, and everybody has access to that cure. The restaurants will have to follow a very different protocol.
Yes. No, I agree with you. Absolutely. Riyaz, you're an inspiration to so many restaurateurs, youth, and there's no question about that. Does it come naturally, or do you actually make an effort? No, very stupid question, but I want to know. Because you're really, the amount of people on the timeline who are saying you've inspired me, etc. Is that one of your mottos, to actually inspire the younger generation, or does it just happen by the way you are? That's what I meant.
Well, I think, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I now feel like a dinosaur. And I'm constantly being inspired by the young, fresh, out of the box thinking that is coming from the new restaurateurs, right? Yeah. So I'm actually the one who's taking a lot of inspiration and saying, man, why didn't I think of that? Oh, how cool is that idea? There's so many really interesting things being done by so many different interesting people.
Yes.
I think that the only thing that I can say is that I've always tried to, create a space that I would like going to, and be decided that I'm not in the business of actually pontification. I'm in the business of making people have a good time, and that is my ultimate role. And by listening to your customers, is the best way. And really giving them not what they need, but giving them something that they will love is what keeps us going. And that has worked for me. And if people can take a page out of that book, it's great. I think we are all in a sense standing on the shoulders of giants. We've all, for me, my heroes have always been people like A.D. Singh and Rahul Akirtan, who, in my opinion, really started our culture.
Yes.
And they've been such great role models for everybody to follow. And based on what they have achieved and created, we've all been able to take the industry further. And I feel that, we've played my role, and now the baton is in the hands of the future.
Lovely. Thank you for that. Do you think home delivery will contribute to a larger chunk of the revenues for a restaurant?
Look, home delivery was a segment that was always slated to grow, right?
Yeah.
It is not a restaurant substitute. It is a kitchen substitute.
Yes, kitchen substitute.
It is a kitchen substitute. More and more people are going to, become busier with their lives, and double income houses. There's a recent study that cooks and drivers now make more money than entry-level MBAs in the workforce. So it's becoming difficult to have cook at home, especially the labor arbitrage. We're moving from a situation where there was always somebody to make a meal for you. There was always something available for you to eat, to not having anything to eat for nuclear families or people who are working alone. And there's a housewife, or there's a house help, or there's mom, or there's always somebody who's out there who's willing to give you a hot food plate. I think that is not going to change. So people are substituting the kitchens with home delivery, and that is a segment that's going to grow on its own. It's not on the back of a restaurant. The restaurant experience would continue to remain a restaurant experience.
Yeah.
And the kitchen supplement is where the food dining goes. I think what I'm seeing now in the home delivery space is that people are still reluctant to order from outside. They still have a certain doubt. They prefer, the safety of their own food, which is, it is a valid concern. You can't say that, ordering is 100% safe.
No.
If people are ordering from dark kitchens, especially, I think there's a certain kind of apprehension towards dark kitchens. I think that people are, because we have a few dark kitchen brands ourselves, right? So we're seeing this shift. People are now trying to trust brands that they have been to, and they can touch and feel and know what's behind them, as opposed to not seeing the face behind the brand.
Yeah.
So or the space behind the brand, or the face, but the space behind the brand. So I think that they will start ordering more from restaurants that they go to, as opposed to dark kitchen brands. Having said that, it's not that food delivery is the magic bullet that will solve the pain point of a restaurant. It's not. Food delivery is not going to be that big a business that is going to, take care of your costs and going to pay your salary bills and going to pay your rental bills. So it can augment your sales, but it cannot be completely your sales. So even if you're doing food delivery right now, and taking a lot of trouble, because it's really difficult getting supplies, it's really difficult getting passes, it's difficult to move around, it's difficult to get people to work. And the business is not that great right now when it comes to food delivery, because right now there's a contraction in demand because of the suspicion that's not good for you. But in the future, there's going to be a contraction of demand because you will not have that kind of disposable income available to you.
Yeah.
So it's not a magic bullet. Will I advise people to get into food delivery business? Maybe it's cheaper to actually not do anything at all, because the operating costs in a restaurant
overhead operating.
Yeah. But again, I think these are individual answers that you have to answer. But it's definitely not the magic bullet that is going to save the restaurant community.
No, absolutely. Home chefs and home cooks. Do you think that sector will actually grow? Because a lot of people feel safe ordering from a home chef within their vicinity who they probably know, and it's home cooked food. What is your opinion on that?
I think that home cooked food as a meal substitute will definitely work. Like I said, people are getting busier. And at the end of the day, आप कितने भी रेस्टोरेंट में खा लो, आपको दाल चावल तो चाहिए. At the end of the day, घर की रोटी चाहिए, you know. So if you are in a double income household, a nuclear family, you don't have time to cook. You're busy looking after your children, kids, and you have careers which are very demanding. At that point of time, it will be. So the market segment will grow. But like I said again, that is it's a labor arbitrage business. You don't want to cook yourself, so you're getting somebody else to cook for you, right? But it is not. It is one of the many models that will emerge in the future. Not the only.
Yeah.
But yes, people will look for ghar ka khana coming from outside.
Because if in my complex or building there is some uncle or auntie or relative or friend who's making, say, Pahari food, and I feel like eating today, I may order from them instead of ordering from a restaurant. I'm just thinking of those kind of.
Yeah.
And I know at Flea Bazaar Cafe also you have pop-ups, charosa that you do with home cooks or home chefs.
Mm-hmm. And as you are doing with,
with FBI,
Bag, and which is also, I think that, home chefs are the true custodians of our culinary heritage. It's not the restaurants. So it's really great when they're able to actually share that with the people. And, these kind of little places provide platforms for people to discover new cuisine. I think, before if somebody said that they, let's eat Bihari khana or let's eat food from Madhya Pradesh, people would be like, what are you talking about? Right? Our food was either North Indian or South Indian, nothing else. I think that now people are naturally curious and they're discovering hidden gems in this cuisine, and it will evolve into something. India has so much to offer. So micro specialization, there's going to be a big market for that. Yeah.
Aditya Kumar asks, what is the future of the unorganized food sector post-COVID, which is a large part of the food services sector in the country?
So it's very important to understand what unorganized sector is. We call unorganized sector is anybody who doesn't have a license or is basically operating, putting up a stove and a tarpaulin and running the business, which is mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
They represent 65% of the business in India right now. And obviously the organized players are inching away at the unorganized segment, but the unorganized segment is the one which is the larger player and the bigger brother. And because they it's being run at such at low costs and low margins and low prices, I think that they will fare better during this situation than the larger organized players who have bigger overheads and not as efficient business model. So somebody saying, please answer my question. What is the question? Of Senorita Love.
Yeah, I'm just seeing. Okay. So survival is the key, as you said, currently for restaurateurs. Rather, and the ways of survival, of course, you've outlined. NRAI. How does NRAI actually help the industry, being a representative of the restaurant industry in the country? Can someone, go approach them for help with their landlord, tenant, government, excise? How can NRAI?
And we lobby with the government for better conditions for the restaurant industry, easing up on doing business. And in today's case, we are asking the government for immediate assistance to help us get through this oncoming crisis, because restaurateurs are the biggest employers in the country. However, we cannot come together and tell you, fight and cartelize almost towards what you pay your landlords and what you pay your suppliers and what you pay your people. Yeah, these are individual decisions.
Individual,
absolutely. And NRI cannot tell you what to do when it comes to these kind of things. But NRI can discuss, pain points, and they can come up with individual broad stroke solutions that one can apply. But at the end of the day, we are we're an industry body which works for better conditions for the industry and works to promote brotherhood and fraternity within the industry. We are not a cartel, or we are not an OPEC.
Absolutely. Some fun questions now. What is your favorite comfort? I mean, what is your comfort food for you?
My mom's dhan dal and kolmino patio, which is basically yellow dal, which Parsi is called mori dal, and mori dal with kolmino patio, which is basically a sweet and sour prawn thing, and with Kerini chutney, which is amazing.
Yummy. And do you cook?
Actually, that's the only thing I'm missing right now.
Okay. Do you cook?
No, I need a recipe to boil water. I can't cook.
Okay.
I can make eggs, but like all, since I'm half Parsi, Parsis have this kind of supernatural connection with eggs. And I can make really, really good eggs, but other than that, I can't cook. I have
you can't. So eggs is something you can cook well.
Eggs, yeah. Eggs, all Parsis can cook well. And then, I once had a cookout competition with one of my chefs over eggs, and I won.
Not bad. That's super. Okay. Whiskey or rum?
Yes, Mom, I made wafer burrito today. I made eggs over good old golden fried crisp. Delicious.
Wow. I love fried eggs. I think they are fantastic.
Yeah.
But of course, your Kejriwal is one famous egg, which I don't know if the Parsis invented, but it's at all the lot of the
Kejriwal was not invented by Parsis.
No, it wasn't.
No. I think par idu, which is like yesterday's leftovers on eggs for breakfast the next day, is definitely a Parsi invention.
Okay. Sweet corn chicken soup or French onion soup?
Depends on the day.
So as in okay. Whiskey or rum?
Again, depends on the day. But I definitely prefer whiskey.
You prefer whiskey,
but it's not that I won't have rum. I mean, occasionally I do enjoy my old monkey rum.
I love
my Rons are tapas. I love them.
If there was something you could tell your younger self, advice you could give your younger self, what would that be?
I'm always taking advice from my younger self instead of giving advice to my younger self. I feel that, when you're younger, you only see opportunity. As you get older, you only see problems.
Yeah.
And as you're younger, you have enthusiasm. And as you get older, you have experience. And I think enthusiasm wins over experience any day. So I have to keep reminding myself of what kind of person I used to be and try and get inspired by that instead of... Because right now, I think I used to be a much better restaurateur before I got into the restaurant business.
Okay. That's cool. Dosa or vada pav? Nice. Okay.
I have somebody else joining us. No? He's not coming.
Okay, last two questions. Oh, hi. Hi, guys. Okay, they can't see. How cute. How old are your kids?
Well, they're 5.5 and 2.5.
Oh, that's amazing. And they must miss you a lot because you're traveling away.
Hi, Rocky. Is that Rocky or Mayur? Who's handling your...
Rocky and Mayur. Hi, Rocky.
Amita, hi. Priyanka, hi. Priyanka, hi. No, Priyanka, hi. Yeah. Abhimanyu, my friend from Baroda. What's up? Arlene. And there's Tanya. Hello. Like, this is like more like a house party than an Instagram live. Priyank from my best waiter from Yaucha. He's here. Priyank, how are you? What a guy.
Priyank Zong.
Riyaz song, yeah.
Yeah.
Superb guy. He's a better looking one. Okay.
I know, I just said that.
Hi, Rocky.
I don't know whether there's Rocky or Mayur on the line. One of them.
Yeah,
Who is handling the handle? One of them is.
I think it's Mayu.
Okay. Two or three more questions, Riyaz, before we
Sure.
wind up. Tell me something. Anything that helped you?
Ranveer, hey brother, how's it going? My Bandi brother.
Yeah. Hi, Ranveer. Nikhila Palat.
Hey, Nikhila. Hi, guys. This is a house party. We should just get everybody on.
This is like a social distancing party, not a social party.
I feel like I'm getting my rum right now.
Social distancing party.
Correct. I have to salsa with tea.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, Samir, you had another question. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm one thing I wanted to ask you is what are the 2 or 3 things that actually make a person a successful restaurateur? Are there certain things to keep in mind, certain things to do, or does it just come on its own?
Hi, Rajesh. Thank you, man. You're always so full of always kind things to say. What makes a successful restaurateur? I think I don't know if there's a particular personality type which makes up a
No.
I think a lot of different people bring a lot of different facets. Because I think restaurants is one of those things that you crave for something different, right? You don't want the same thing again and again. I think that having different personalities bring a lot of interesting facets to dining out.
Yes.
But I would say that this is a passion business. This is 100% pure passion. If you want to make money, you want to have a life, you want work-life balance. You want to be able to have balance between your health and career and family. Then this is not the business for you. This is a business of pure junoon. दीवानों का काम है, it is something that belongs to that. The money is less, the risks are high, the return on time invested is poor. ये उसी का काम है जिसका मतलब सिर्फ जुनून है. It is not for people who want to do this as a side business. For glamour. This is a restaurant will take everything you have and more. And so it doesn't matter what type of person you are, whether you're right brain, left brain, creative, good chef, doesn't know how to cook. As long as you have a mad passion for running a space where people can have a really great time, I think that's what it takes to be a good restaurant.
Okay. So the passion to build that kind of space.
अरे अयार भाई, क्या हाल है भाई?
Riyaz, what?
Amit Abhimanyu. Ji sir, sorry.
No, that's okay. So
I don't know what the protocol is. I don't do too many Instagram lives. I don't know whether the protocol is to ignore the comments or to...
No. You must interact with people.
Tap it up.
That is very important. Otherwise, what's the use?
Correct. Okay. Sorry.
You should.
Oh, hey, what's up? How's the cocktails coming along?
I'm loving this.
I think, so thank you for that.
Yeah. No, in fact, you should respond to all the comments, as many as you can, because it's a good thing to do.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Okay. Black or white?
Coffee?
Anything.
Oh, the color.
Color.
Yeah.
So the questions will be very random. Some serious, some fun.
Oh, okay.
Just that.
Black. I like my coffee black and I look better in black. So, look thinner. Definitely black. Did I just see Anish, Daddy? Daddy, is that you? Hey, Daddy, how's it going? What a pleasure to see you. I don't see you anywhere else. There's my friend Anish Chanana, who everybody calls Daddy. If you think I'm the big daddy, he's Daddy's big daddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Kunal. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
One dish that you love.
One dish that I love.
You said your mom's cooking, of course, but besides that, from any of your restaurants.
From our restaurants? Oh, wow. I have a very long list, man. Don't make me choose. Will I ask you, do you love Khayal more than your nose?
Okay, maybe not one.
There's going to be hell to pay for it later. One restaurant that me and my wife really enjoy going to is Yao Cha. We do like their brand of Chinese food, and we love the duck that they do and the truffle edamame dumplings. Our standard orders over there.
Agree. Yes, Yao Cha. Riyaz, do you think Indian chefs are now coming to the forefront? But I think you don't have your Michelin star
Thank you,
and the
Shashwat.
world's best coming to India. Why is that?
Thank God. No, first of all, these Michelin star and World Bank. Let's put one thing into perspective. At the end of the day, they are businesses also.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that very few people in the world are qualified to comment on Indian food. It's not possible. I mean, you look at Western chefs, which have slightly more, less complicated dishes. Here, the meals are so complicated, it's so complex.